The day many Bears fans have speculated about has finally come. They made a switch at quarterback, down 16 points, and they beat the Atlanta Falcons. The torch has been passed from Mitch Trubisky to Nick Foles. I'm here to break down his performance against the Atlanta Falcons and talk to you about what I see moving forward. My name is Dan Durkin, and this is the All 22 Review.
So here are my general thoughts on the Bears quarterback change. It was the correct decision. I understand there's a personal aspect to this for Matt Nagy. He's developed a relationship with Mitchell Trubisky. He's invested a lot of time in him. He's really tried to make this relationship work and make this development happen. It just hasn't been there. And I also understand it's difficult from his relationship with his boss, general manager Ryan Pace, who invested his reputation in many ways on his evaluation of Mitch Trubisky. So organizationally, there has been a lot put into making the most of Mitch and really trying to maximize his abilities in what they thought he could become. But there's enough observable data at this point in time to conclude he's not progressing at the rate he should be. So I commend Matt Nagy for making that. Second, very unusual circumstances. Think about it. More often than not, when a team is making a change at quarterback, things aren't going well. The team, if you're thinking about a three-game span, is probably 1-2 or 0-3. The Bears have the luxury of making a quarterback change on an undefeated team, and we all know that the Bears' record is probably not indicative of who they are. But the fact of the matter is, they were 2-0 going into this game. They were down by 16 points when Nagy made the decision to pull Mitch. Foles comes in, wins the game. The team's 3-0, and now everything feels different. So very unusual circumstances that I think should work out well for the Bears in this regard. And the third is Foles' familiarity with the offense was very evident to me. He didn't prepare as the starter. That means he got fewer reps throughout the course of the week, but his timing in the scheme and his familiarity with where his eyes should go and where the ball should go was obvious. Just the offense seemed to generally flow in a different way with him under center. So all in all, I understand that tough call for Matt from a personal perspective, but right call for the team, no doubt about it. Evaluating Foles' performance, what stood out most to me was his coverage identification, and related to that, his route anticipation. We're going to get into that here with a couple of clips. From my charting, this was the most impressive play of the day for Nick Foles. Gotta have it moment for the Bears. Fourth quarter, 8 minutes and 23 seconds left in the game. They're trailing 26-10, 4th and 6 from their own 42-yard line. So this is a three-man route combination for the Bears as they have 7 in for protection. The Falcons rush 3 and drop 8 into a modified Tampa 2 shell. Most of you may remember the Tampa 2 from Lovie Smith. Effectively, the middle linebacker drops in to be the third safety. And so here they have 3 deep and 5 underneath. And with 2 safeties over the top, the windows are either the middle of the field or the corner, so the outsides of the safeties. Very small window for Foles to fit this ball into Ted Ginn, but he does it. He recognizes it, throws an absolute dime. Here's another example of coverage identification and route anticipation on a 4th and 17. The Bears run an all verticals concept. Foles reads the deep safety in the middle of the field and identifies cover 3, which is 3 deep defenders defending the top and then 4 underneath defenders. So the areas to attack in this scheme are going to be up the seams. This is where a route adjustment comes into play. Miller knows that he has that seam up the middle, so he needs to bend his route to go around and then find the gap to the side of the safety. He does exactly that. Foles anticipates it and just throws a laser up the middle. Unfortunately, Miller bobbled this ball and it ended up not being a catch, but this is still perfect coverage ID in anticipation of the route. The final example is a kill call. So seeing that he has an equal number of defenders lined up over the top of each of the receivers, it's got a pretty good indicator here that this is man coverage. And so he kills the call and turns to the receivers and just lets them know what the route adjustments are. In this particular instance, there's going to be a gap over the middle here for Allen Robinson to attack from the slot on just a quick in-cut slant. He IDs that and lets it rip for an easy 6-yard completion. The other aspect of Foles' performance that stood out to me was his toughness in the pocket. Falcons defensive coordinator Raheem Morris knows Foles is a traditional pocket passer, thus, he threw some pressure his way. But Foles stood strong in the pocket and was able to keep his eyes downfield and find his receivers. Look no further than the game winning pass to Anthony Miller as an example of Foles' toughness in the pocket. The Falcons show 7 rushers in their pre snap look. The call is a cover zero, zero meaning there is no deep defender over the top. They're manned up across the board here. The Bears have a 6-man protection and a 4-man route, 3 verticals, and 1 check down to Jimmy Graham. As was reported after the game, Foles anticipated cover zero in this particular situation, and he told Anthony Miller if that was the case, he needed to bend his route. He was going to throw it to the L in the ATL in the end zone, and that's exactly what he did on this play. The end zone view shows how Michael Walker here, the yellow arrow, is able to make it through. The Falcons show a mug look, so 2 inside linebackers here over the A gap. There's 4 to the right. So David Montgomery slides over to the left-hand side since Jimmy Graham is in this route, leaving Walker up the middle to be accounted for by Foles. He doesn't flinch in the pocket and delivers the ball as exactly as he told Miller he would. On Foles' touchdown to Allen Robinson, there's also somewhat of a leak late on this. Charles Leno allows the defensive end to get around the edge, but Foles again doesn't flinch, waits for A-Rob to come open, delivers a strike, touchdown Bears. Here are a few things I'm going to be looking forward to against the Colts and just moving forward with Foles at quarterback. The changes the Bears offensive staff makes to the scheme and their call sheets. Given his past, I assume you're going to see more run pass option. That's something that coaches have used to get Foles settled down in the past. He has a lot of success in that scheme. I assume you're going to see a little bit more shotgun formation. The Bears had gotten away from that a little bit with Trubisky. Will they stay true to their outside zone scheme that they had and run some play action off of that? That's what they were trying with Mitch earlier in this year. I assume they're going to because they're running that scheme well, but I think that they'll probably decrease that in some ways. So definitely going to be keen to see how that works out. The offensive line, I anticipate this being a relief for them. And what I mean by that is they've protected very well this year, but with a quarterback like Trubisky, he's not a traditional pocket passer, so you're not quite sure where he is behind you. Foles is the opposite. He's going to be in the pocket so the offensive line can hold their blocks and not have to wonder if Trubisky's flushing out of the pocket, they could be pushing their man towards him. Not going to be the case with Foles. And the last is just his target distribution. Where is he going to be going with the football? I assume you're going to see more targets going to the tight ends. He was fairly consistent this week distributing the ball. I have 10 to tight ends, 14 to the receivers, and 8 to the running backs this past week against the Falcons. So good distribution, but my inclination is you're going to see a spike in targets for the tight ends. All in all, positive move for the Bears. Again, making this move when you're 3-0, much different feel. So eager to see how this works out. Episode 3 of the All 22 review is a wrap. I'm Dan Durkin. Thanks for tuning in.